You are not a magnet for folk. You are a magnet that attracts everyone. They all want to be in your presence, whether or not you know what it is that you bring into the space, whether or not you know how it is that you are shining, whether or not you know you are the Some just want to bask in the glory of you. Some want to possess you. Others want to see what makes you shine and see if you would be willing to dim your light so that they can say they had you. All people have an agenda when they're trying to be or get close to you. The problem is not what they want. The problem is what you keep. That's from Drink Water and Mind Your Business. And you know we're about to have a conversation about Meg Thee Stallion and what is this man's name? Klay Thompson. Right after the intro. And welcome back to another episode of the Daily Donna with me, your host, Dr. Donna Oriowo, sex and relationship therapist in Washington, D.C. metro area, helping Black women feel free, fabulous, and effed, and the author of Drink Water and Mind Your Business, a Black woman's guide to unlearning the BS and healing self-esteem. That is where we started. That book, that page. We're talking chapter 5 on sex and self-esteem. And from the section labeled, there is indeed piss in the dating pool. I know that a lot of us, we want to talk about it, but sometimes it's not about what you get, it's about what you keep. That's the problem. That's the real problem. Anyway, let's go ahead and get into these 3 lessons that I think that we can take from this situation as we are seeing it unfold between Megan and Klay. And really, we're not thinking about Klay. We're thinking about Megan right now. So if you are anti-Megan, this might not be your video. If you are here just to hate, I guess welcome. So let's go into these 3 lessons learned. Lesson 1. So I saw on the internet that somebody was saying, like, I don't know why she can't just be quiet and keep it moving. Why she got to put this thing out here on Front Street? Like, if you done, just move on. We don't need to know. I'm going to stop you right there, sis. And for any of you that are thinking about that, because there's a reason why she's doing what she's doing. Because when something happens between you and somebody else, whether that someone else is your boss, your friend, or a lover, it is up to you to make sure that you tell your part of the narrative, because too often good people just move on and we be quiet. We never say what went on. We never say that this thing wasn't good, right, safe, or sane. Instead, we just like, you know what? I don't want to mess up their flow. I don't want to mess this thing up for them. You are giving benefit of the doubt to people who don't even have consideration for you. Being able to name the narrative, to speak your narrative out loud, to say that, hey, this thing happened. I didn't like it. I felt like this is part of the name of the game. When you don't tell your narrative, when you keep your silence, we often are protecting people who have violated us in some way and thus get another opportunity to violate other people because we are quiet. Baby, is that the way that we're trying to go? Because I'm going to say the answer is no. And I would also point out this. I think that Miss Megan Thee Stallion learned a lesson from the last time that she tried to maintain someone else's well-being at the cost of her own. Tori Lanes was outside creating a whole other story that is still being debated sometimes in these internet streets. The first person to speak up sometimes is the one that controls the narrative. Yes, that is true. And we have to also name that when we are maintaining our silence, sometimes we are trying to protect this other person who had no consideration for you, who would not think twice about throwing you under the bus, who is fine to paint you with a black brush and say that you are the worst thing that ever happened to life, period. Being able to say what happened, being able to name that you are hurt is not about violating him. It's not about hurting him. It's about saying what happened to you. And she gets to have her story. Now, if you are upset by her story, you could always just do this thing that we like to call scroll on. Number 2, there are people outside in the internet streets saying, oh my gosh, she must be so embarrassed. I would like to pause you right there. From a sex and relationship therapist, every single time I have a client who has been cheated on, who has been violated by someone that she bestowed trust in, and they tell me that they are so embarrassed, my flappers are always gasted. Why are you embarrassed? You were not the cheater. You were not the violator. You were not the person who betrayed someone's trust. Your trust was betrayed. This is not a thing to be embarrassed about. What part should she be embarrassed about? The part where she loved out loud? The part where she was happy? The part where she was like, my man, my man, my man, my baby, my baby. Number one, we got to bop. Stop playing. And number two, you deserve to be happy. And yes, sometimes the other shoe falls, but that doesn't mean that you should stop your happiness. The thing is, here's the lesson that you need to learn. A lot of you are doing this all the time. You refuse to try. You refuse to show up in your own life because you're worried about being embarrassed because the thing doesn't work out. Alert. Sometimes things don't work out. Sometimes things go left. Sometimes things don't come out exactly as we desire. But it doesn't mean that you should stop living your life. It doesn't mean that you should stop living your life out loud because you're worried that other people will see that the thing didn't work out. Maybe I still have a goal to sell 5,000 books. I am not near there. It's April, what? 12th, and I'm still not there. I said 5,000 books by May 13th. That goal is happening. It doesn't mean that you don't have a goal. It doesn't mean that you don't speak a goal. It doesn't mean you don't try anyway. Everything doesn't always work out. But I'll tell you this, Kev on stage done made successful failure. He told you about the failures that he had because he was outside trying. If the worst thing that can happen to you is that people who were never trying are going to maybe talk a little bit of mess about you, I think that we might need to evaluate whether or not their opinions matter. You are a person that tries. It's okay for you to love out loud. It's okay for you to try out loud. Will it work out? We don't know. One of the ultimate ways of trying out loud is having a wedding, because you don't know whether or not that marriage is going to last. We get married out loud and we divorce in the dark. It's okay for you to be loud about the end of something as well as the beginning of something. And I would like to point out that I think that some great art is about to come behind this, because a lot of y'all that's saying, I don't know why she's talking about this, she should just move on. None of y'all had that smoke for Beyonce. I said what I said. I'm saying it with my whole chest. Lemonade is a project about a cheating husband and the reconciliation that they eventually got to. I don't see anybody outside saying, I don't know why Beyonce didn't just move on. Why did she have to talk about this? She shouldn't have made this album. Y'all was at the concert. Y'all bought the thing. Y'all was listening to the music. You know all the words. I'm saying that I need y'all to go ahead and keep some things in mind, because Tony Braxton has done many a song about breaking up with somebody. Adele's 21, I believe, was also about breaking up. So I'm saying that while you're telling her to be quiet, y'all don't have some of that smoke for your faves who have literally made art from this. She made art from being in a relationship with this man. I believe that she will also make some art from breaking up out of this relationship with this man. I think that either way we win, we get great Meg. Moving on to number 3, the third lesson learned here. I think that we often say that we need to learn to leave when love is no longer being served. And it becomes a thing that is very difficult for so many of us to do because our identities are wrapped up in whether or not we are desired and in a relationship, especially if we're Black, when they already are constantly telling us that we are not desired, that people don't want to be with us, that people don't want to wife us, they one night us, right? She got up when she recognized that love was no longer being served, that the contract that they set out at the beginning of monogamy and what their relationship would look like, when she was not receiving that, she left. She's like, you know what? I think I've had enough. A lot of us get into a space where we start negotiating. And this is where I say there's a difference between compromising and being compromised. I feel like I've had this conversation before, or I will soon if I haven't. But there's a difference between the two. The part where you start lopping off pieces of who you are, where you start violating your own values, where you are mortgaging the vision that you have for yourself in order to be with someone in a way that you would feel embarrassed to tell people about. That's the moment where you have become compromised and stopped compromising. Compromising means two people give up of themselves. Being compromised means that you do it. And when you get into a space of compromise, it means that you're not as strong, you're not as steady, you're more easily broken, you're violated. That's not okay. She got up when love was no longer being served. And I feel like what we're hearing is that she believed him. When he said, I don't know, when he got on his Donnell Jones, I don't know where I want to be, which I did a video on, like, once he went there, she was just like, all right, bet. You could be anywhere, but not with me. I have seen many a person coming into the therapy office trying to figure out whether or not how they're going to make non-monogamy work because they have a cheating partner. Let me be the first to tell you, if no one has told you yet, being a cheater does not make the person qualified to be in a polyamorous relationship. Poly folk don't need the smoke. There's no garbage that needs to be going in that direction. Because when you're in a poly relationship, you still have to respect your partners. You still have to make sure that you don't violate boundaries. It means that, yes, you can still cheat, even in a poly relationship. It's not a free for all. And someone saying that, well, I don't know if I can be monogamous. Okay, bet. But that's the conversation you have before you step out and violate the sanctity of the relationship that you have with the person you're with. If you don't know that you can be in a monogamous relationship, that is an upfront conversation. That's something that you try to bogart somebody into on the back end to see what of their own selves they would be willing to violate. And that's part of what I read when we started, right? That sometimes people want to see if you would be willing to dim your light so that they can say they had you. He think he had more social capital than he did. His social capital was her. It's kind of like with Beyonce and Jay-Z again. Like, there was a moment where they were celebrated, and after he cheated, he was tolerated. The relationship was tolerated. It's like, we don't want to see that man no more. We okay. We okay over here. We good. But the point is, she made a decision for herself. And I see that there are some people out there saying, like, well, I hope that they can reconcile. No, you don't. You don't actually hope that they can reconcile. I hope that you're hoping that she does and continues to do what is actually good, right, safe, and sane for her, so that you also remember that you can do what is good, right, safe, and sane for you. Sometimes you stay and sometimes you go. I'm not here to tell you whether or not you should or should not. But there are people who are also wondering, why are people so invested in this thing with Meg Thee Stallion? It's because in this April, this Black Women's History Month, we have seen violation and harm for Black women on all fronts. We're talking about people defending those who would violate others. I mean, Usher used his voice, used his platform to defend Diddy, right? He's using his voice and his platform to team with Chris Brown, who is continually violent against women. You've got Dave Chappelle, who has had violent words for trans women, and somehow thought that he could disconnect himself from the harm that he helped to perpetuate by the Republican Party, while telling them that they're wrong, but he still thinks he's right. Right? We have seen that Dr. Serena Fairfax was killed by her husband. We have seen that there is a whole website dedicated for men to take the thing that was never freely offered to them. We have seen that there are men that are murdering their spouses, that are killing their children. We see that the medical industrial complex, because there was Black Maternal Health Week or Awareness Week recently, we see that they are still harming Black women at 3 times the rate. Our noticing of what's going on here, of how we talk about Black women, about how Black women are low-key blamed for the way that the world treats us, and the way that people are low-key blaming Meg for not being able to keep a man, as though a man who cheats is a man that needs to be kept. It means that we are noticing. We see the pattern. We notice we feel the connection, and we are saying something about it, because all of these things are connected. It all lends itself towards an abject disrespect that people seem to have for Black women, and that we are tired of. And we get to say that we're tired of it. We get to say we clocked your BS and we don't want no parts. We get to say that. We get to feel it in our bones, and we get to support Megan. and women who have been in her position. Now, in another video, I'm going to talk about what it means for someone to be the cheatee. Like you're cheating with this person, knowing that they are with somebody. I think that's a conversation for another day. But the point is this: there are lessons to be learned here. And the real one is that when you know who you are, self-concept, and you like who you are, you esteem that, self-esteem, you will make aligned decisions. That means that you will choose behaviors that match what you know about you and how you feel about you so that you can do the thing that is best for you. Safe, right, good, and sane. Anyway, those are my 3 cents, 4 cents, because I feel like I gave you a bonus on this Megan Thee Stallion situation. I want to hear from you, but remember to keep it respectful. I do discourse, not disrespect. This is not a safe space to be disrespectful to Black women. All right? Take it somewhere else. Take it to your page if that's what you need to do. But go ahead and let me know in the comments. What is something that you feel like you're seeing, learning, or getting from this situation as it is unfolding? Because I feel like it just got announced. So we don't know the details. And we already know that sometimes more things come out. And sometimes people be like, you know what? I'm going to spin the block. So we don't know what all is going to happen. I'm asking you, what is something that you're learning though? Something that you learn that you can apply for you. All right, you are the bee's knees. I am Dr. Donna. This is the Daily Donna, where we have our conversations with a therapeutic edge. Y'all already know how I like it. Keep it cute in the comments, and I will see you when tomorrow because we do this thing daily. Bye.